Someone vandalized my car and wrote the words grave robber across the side of it in red paint. My tires were slashed, my windows were cracked, and the people who did it were my fiancé's late wife's sisters. That's when I realized this situation was about to get much worse than I ever imagined. My fiancé was married before we met. He married his high school sweetheart when he was only 20 years old, but just 2 years later she passed away after a botched surgery that caused sepsis. Her death devastated him. Even years later, he stayed very close with her family, especially her father and her 2 younger sisters. When we first started dating, I tried to be understanding. There was a lot of history there that I could never replace. On her birthday, on their wedding anniversary, and on the anniversary of her death, he would spend time with her family remembering her. At first, it was difficult for me. It's not easy knowing that the person you love once had a whole life with someone else. But over time, I worked through those insecurities. By the time he proposed last year, I truly felt secure in our relationship. I loved him, and I knew he loved me. At least, I thought everything was settled. Then, something strange happened. One day, I decided to try a new coffee shop instead of my usual one, and when I walked inside, I saw someone I recognized. One of his late wife's sisters was working there. She noticed my engagement ring immediately. She stared at it, then at me. Her expression went from confusion to anger. Later that day, my fiancé told me she had been messaging him non-stop. Apparently, he had never told them we were engaged. I wasn't thrilled about that. He apologized and explained that he didn't want to hurt them. He said both they and I were important parts of his life, and he didn't know how to break the news. I told him I understood, but he needed to be honest with them. I thought that was the end of it, but it was only the beginning. A few days later, I received a message from the older sister, and it was vicious. She asked me if I was proud of myself. She told me I would never replace her sister. She said if her sister were still alive, my fiancé would choose her every single time. Then she went even further. She accused him of only being with me for my money and for sex. I tried to ignore it, but it definitely hurt. Being with someone who lost a spouse comes with insecurities, and she had just thrown every one of them back in my face. When I told my fiancé about the messages, he was furious. He reassured me that he loved me and promised he would set boundaries with her. He messaged her and told her not to contact me again. At that point, I thought the situation was over, but I was very wrong. A few days later, I walked outside and saw my car. Someone had completely destroyed it. Across the side of the car, written in red paint, were the words whore and grave robber. All 4 tires were slashed, the windows were broken, the body of the car was damaged. I was devastated. I had worked for a year to save up for that car. Luckily, a nearby store had security cameras. The footage was blurry, but it captured the color and type of car involved, and part of the license plate. It matched the youngest sister's car. I told my fiancé I was going to file a police report. He asked if I could wait until he spoke with them first. I said no, unless they apologized and paid for the damage. So he arranged a meeting. We met them at a cafe, and the conversation emotionally exploded. Everyone was shouting. The sisters said they had nothing to apologize for. They told me I should leave their family alone. They said my fiancé belonged with their sister. My fiancé tried to explain that he deserved to find love again, but they told him if he truly loved her, he would stay loyal to her forever. Then the youngest sister said something that broke him. She told him to admit he would never love anyone the way he loved their sister. My fiancé broke down right there at the table. I grabbed him and we left, and that's when I gave him an ultimatum. Either he cut them off completely or the wedding was over, because I was not going to spend the rest of my life being harassed by people who hated me. He asked for a couple of days to think. so we spent 2 days apart. When we finally talked again, he told me something shocking. Years earlier, one of the sisters had actually tried to kiss him. She even told him she planned to wait until she turned 18 so they could be together. At the time, he thought it was just grief and confusion, but now everything made sense. The jealousy, the obsession, the anger towards me. After thinking about everything, he made his decision. He chose me. He told me he was cutting them out of his life completely, and he said he fully supported me filing charges. So we went to the police, and that's when we discovered the damage to my car was far worse than we thought. Not only were the windows broken and the tires slashed, someone had poured antifreeze into the engine oil. The entire engine was destroyed. The car was a total loss. Because of the amount of damage, the crime was classified as a felony vandalism. Eventually, my insurance company paid out $75,000 for the vehicle. The sisters now have criminal records. Shortly after that, my fiancé met with their family one last time. He told them he was cutting contact permanently. They tried to apologize and begged me to meet them so we could move past everything. But by then, it was far too late. We moved away shortly afterwards, and a few months later, we finally got married. Looking back on everything, it was an absolute nightmare. But in the end, it forced my fiancé to finally close that chapter of his life. And those people are no longer part of ours.